that's like one of our highest ever projections on a Friday show this year.
Boom. There, just use that lineup. You win $1 million.
I don't know about
Easy
that,
game.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Week 6, DraftKings Picks, ownership, lineups, and the whole shebang. Smash the like to the episode, sub to Mayo Media Network, and play in the DraftKings Listeners League. It is not yet full. It should be full. It's Friday. Getting down on Friday. Into the description is what you need to do to find the link to the Pat Mayo Experience. DraftKings Open. 3 max entry, $15 to play. No rake at all, thus making it the best tournament on DraftKings. Additionally, we have a new tool at runthesims.com. Tambo is in studio with me. ShipItNation.com. Code Mayo over at ShipItNation. Get you what you need over at ShipItNation. But the Prop Sniper tool for the people who don't care about DFS. I'm sure those people probably aren't watching this show. But if you don't care about DFS or live in a place where there is no DFS, the cheaper Prop Sniper is probably where you want to be.
Even if you do care about DFS, you probably like making money.
Well,
that can help you as well.
The Prop Sniper's in the DFS package.
Yeah.
So if you have the DFS package, you're good to go
You're
anyway.
talking about who's watching the show, though. I'm saying there's lots of people that are watching us for DFS tips, free tips. They're not signed up to anything yet. They can sign up for different things, but this would be something they can add on to their arsenal to be able to have access to these props. Because they've been crushing.
And if you are, I mean, it sucked last night because the main prop didn't hit, but like the next 4 hit. So it was like, shit.
And the previous 4 or 5. That
Yeah, but it would have been
like,
it would have been nice for the first night of the package that like
Yeah.
the number 1 rated one hit. Javonte Williams was like, all right.
Yeah, he looked good, actually. Yeah, it was interesting.
I was shocked.
It was just because everyone was on Pacheco, so of course Javonte had to do something on the other side, just a little bit.
He did a little bit.
It wasn't too much.
I think that we'll put it at that. So let's talk about the main slate. Right now for DraftKings, obviously no London game, no Sunday Night Football, no Monday Night Football. And if people are listening to the audio podcast, we will be putting our lineup up on the screen as we walk through it for the first time. So the video version of the Pat Mayo Experience may be where you want to be at this week. Maybe.
It's going up, man. New studio experience. I'm excited for it. We're closer to the TV. People are going to be able to see it better. We're going to have the actual lineups on the screen for them to dupe us, and this is going to be perfect.
Listen, I'm not immune to taking feedback. Some feedback was people wanted to see, so like while we're talking through, just to help them keep them in their head a little bit more. Because, I mean, you and I get lost when we're talking to each other.
Yes.
Sometimes for the listener or the viewer that maybe they get lost as well. This time, they can actually see what I am talking about on my screen at that time when we're constructing the lineups and looking at the different variables going through everything. But let's start with what is going to be chalky this week on DraftKings. Is there any one player initially that just hops off the page? Because ETN, Jordan Addison at a pretty good price. I'm assuming KJ Osborne probably gets up there as well just because of the price point with everything. But I don't like a lot of these outdoor games.
Yeah, I see it that way too. I guess the Addison play for sure. I'm sure people will try and make other things work, like Powell in that game just because he's so cheap. But Jamar Chase, again. Mixon, again.
It worked last week.
It did. It definitely worked last week if you had that spot. And that was something we talked about, but I like the Dobbs side better. And funny enough, when you just go to the other side with the guy that's actually really good when he's healthy, turns out if Chase has a big game, so does Joe Burrow. So that was the angle to be in on there last week, and we can look at it for this week. But also I think Stafford gets a little love. Now we saw that Nakua and Kupp can coexist. I don't think they can coexist on lineups this week at those price tags. I think they're $8,000 and $9,000 for each of them, but picking one of them, they both still worked out fine, and Stafford is still just $6,100 on DraftKings in a game against Arizona where people, again, the Dobbs side is popping up, Ertz is popping up, Marquise Brown is popping up. So that's the other spot that I'm seeing early on, at least, to what people are going to.
Let's talk running back ownership very briefly, and we can talk about the points per dollar plays as well. Before we try to guess the ownership of who's going to come in as the highest owned, do you have any plays just off the hop being like, hey, that's either a good one-off, that's someone I want to correlate a game with, just as an objective good price running back that maybe we'll be putting in a ton of lineups?
Yeah, well, I think we have big thing that we're going to wait on. It's going to be with Roshan Johnson. He still didn't practice yet.
Does that mean you want to use Donta Foreman?
I will, yeah. I mean, at this point now, with the price point, Foreman is $4,400. If he gets in there, I really don't care about anything else that goes with that. That's just a price play, especially with nobody else there. They don't have a lot going on.
So let's briefly talk about that. Just the Minnesota and Chicago. If we don't get Roshan, even if we do get Roshan, like let's say we do get Roshan in this game and he comes back, do you think that he's the lead, not Foreman?
I would still play him, 4,600. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
That's where I lean early on, at least, is with that spot. As for someone that's cheap, I think Mostert is going to get love at 6,400.
As he should.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the spot, look what Montgomery just did to them. But speaking of Montgomery, I will say him as another one. That could be your one-off. Like, I think people won't really love that he'll be getting some ownership still, but he went up to 7,300. I think people will perceive that as a bad price. Oh, that's too much now. You can't pay that for him. I think they're going to continue to jam him and run him, and I don't really care about the matchup as much as the opportunity, so I'm going to play that at 7,300.
So besides Kyron Williams, David Montgomery, outside of Kyron Williams and Christian McCaffrey, in terms of optimal leverage on the slate, so ownership versus the amount of times that they end up in the optimal lineup, which you can find on runthesims.com. Super easy to do. And you can even adjust your customizations any way that you want in order to make it, if you want to fudge the numbers, make your guy look really good, you can do that.
Yeah, we use it all the time we do the Monday Night Football, the Thursday Night Football, and then the Sunday main slate show, but we were using it yesterday, and that's what people wanted to see. For last night's game, they were trying to see, like, oh, what if it's not Pacheco? And we're like, you can do that. If you really think you have a beat on this game and think it's a CEH going to steal the thunder, I didn't think it was, but if you did think that, you could throw him in there and see how this changes up your lineups and what it actually thinks is more optimal at that point.
The point being, David Montgomery's leverage score rates out really, really well this week. It's just above 2%. A lot of guys like Mostert, Kamara, Josh Jacobs, ETN, who's projected to be the highest owned running back right now. DeAndre Swift is up there. Joe Mixon. They're all of negative leverage this week based on their ownership that's coming in. David Montgomery is not. He's actually in the positive. But I guess my question about the Roschon thing was, it's looking like it's going to be a bad weather game in Chicago. But you might get Donta Foreman or Roschon, whichever one that. Like if there's no Roschon, you go with Foreman. If Roschon's in, you go with Roschon. And then you just look at the other side. You could go with Addison. You could go with, I think KJ Osborne's $4,400. Like you could have a running back, wide receiver correlation from that game and have them be your two cheapest guys.
Yeah, that's fine. It definitely looks like a good secondary stack as well. And again, people say like, oh, the weather could help it. They just jam them even more. But at 4,600 or 4,400, I'm fine with either, but if it's Roschon's in, I'm going to go with Roschon.
Okay. So, but ETN projects to be the highest owned, then it's Swift, then Mixon. I don't know if I love any of them.
I'll tell you what, on ETN and Mixon, this is one thing we use at Shipping Nation, the stack rankings. Guess what stacks are way up the board? The Joe Burrow stack, again, which we know because Chase is going to be owned.
Does that mean Mixon's not in it?
Well, exactly. It's saying it actually likes the passing side, but even better than that, in the top three is Lawrence, Kirk, and Ingram. So if you want a way just to leverage the ETN play, it looks like the passing attack is the way to go there.
I mean, when I won $15K last year, those were the three guys that I stacked up: Lawrence, Ingram, and Kirk.
And I think Lawrence will still be 7 to 10%. Like he's going to get there, and then some of his stack pieces will get some ownership. But again, that's the two games. Like I'm thinking of right now, if I'm looking at it, the Cincy spot. We're waiting on DK Metcalf news. I don't believe he practiced again yesterday, so that could be Lockett or other guys there if you want a JSN game or something like that. But that side of it still works. And then the other one is Jacksonville, Indy. That pops a little bit. And then the Arizona-LA game. And then it feels like last week where people just know in that Miami game, even though there's a 47.5 point total, just roll with Mostert and move on. Because now we've got an even better situation with injuries and stuff there.
Oh, yeah, I see. I will get to it.
I know about Wilson. You're going to say it's this. People are going to try.
Oh, no. I said I'm going to build Bryce Young stacks with Mostert coming back the other way.
That's a way to use them different. Sure, I'm okay with that one then. I'm already seeing the talks around like.
But I'm not saying that Jeff Wilson's going to take anything away from Mostert. But would you donate, because you're playing a bunch of lineups? I'm not playing a bunch of lineups, so I'm not going to use Jeff Wilson. Would you put Jeff Wilson into your pool as a pivot off Mostert in similar lineups, just in case?
No.
Okay.
This is where, again, like I say this all the time, this is just like PGA. This is football. We can apply it to both. Oh, I got this play. I got this diamond in the rough. I know it's going to happen. I get that it's literally good leverage because of the thought of if this, then that. But it's not good leverage because he's not he projects or nothing because he's probably not going to do anything. It's just a concept people are making up that, he's going to steal last night. If everyone's on Pacheco, I have to move to this other guy. No, they use the shit out of Pacheco, and he gets all the work. That you have to stick with some of these plays. There's lots of great tools, data, etc. out there now that tell you who these good plays are. A lot of times they're good plays for a reason. I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going to try and make something else work in behind.
Paul sent me a text that just said, is Bijan Robinson a social media quarterback or running back? That everyone just thinks he's great. He has like sweet highlights. But I play him every week on DraftKings. He fucking sucks.
Yeah. Is he talking about Joe Mixon? Because this is really the one. Mixon's the one that gets the same workload, all of it, and doesn't put up these 20-point scores. So it's for both of them. You could say it, but again, we're playing a game where the opportunities matter, the volume matters, like we just talked about previously with Roshan or Foreman, whoever it ends up being. It's just more of that. And man, they're still working Bijan in. He's still getting the attempts. He's getting the spot. It just, I don't know what you want. I mean, it's not the greatest results, but 20, 24, and 22 in three of his 5 games.
And he hasn't scored a rushing touchdown yet. It's all right there, but it's just like you're watching the game. You're like, come on.
It's frustrating.
Do something.
Sure. That one. I love that one. Yeah, the poke the stick. I don't think he is that. I think it's going to be fine. They also have to prove something with him. I saw somebody tweet last night, actually. I thought this was a good one, was it's time for Atlanta to go get Kirk Cousins.
I would agree.
It made the roster actually looked a lot better just by throwing his name on the top of it. But then people say, well, but look at Ritter last week.
Yeah, Ritter had one good half in his career. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Zach Wilson played like an okay game 2 weeks ago. You want Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
No one does.
The Cousins thing seems legit. It could be a thing. I don't know if it really makes them I don't think it really improves them that much, but it's definitely better than what they have.
I would say it significantly. Like you're talking about the one position in football that actually is worth wins.
Right. Does it make them better? I should say yes, of course. But
it makes them the best team in the division.
Yeah, but exactly. Where does it get them? I meant down the road. But it's worth a shot. And if you want guys like Drake London and Kyle Pitts, by the way, Kyle Pitts, big game last week.
So did Jonnu.
Yeah, Jonnu was still a little less, though. You needed
a little less, but he was cheaper.
True, $400 cheaper, but still.
He was that $2,900 diamond in the rough.
But if you could get Kirk Cousins, he finds a way to make those guys work just a little bit better. He still makes a lot of mistakes. There's still going to be downfalls to it. But if that was a thing, I don't think it would be that bad.
Okay. Wide receivers, just very briefly. Addison currently projects as the highest owned guy. Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Yeah. We get it.
If he beats me, then he beats me. And he's in a great spot. I don't want to deny that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to play 20% Jordan Addison in a shitty weather game in his first start as maybe KJ Osborne is quote unquote, like they're saying, oh, he's the X. He's the Justin Jefferson replacement. Addison's role won't change. Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
I would want him to see an increase if he's going to be the highest owned guy on the slate in terms
definitely.
of wide receivers. But if the Bears kind of look at it now, I don't know if they have the personnel to do it or not, but say, hey, Jordan Addison's now the number one. Maybe Jordan Addison was getting open and getting deep down the field because the other team was like, well, there's this guy that we need to put 3 guys on. Now we don't need to do that. We can cover that guy.
Definitely true. Justin Jefferson being out there makes it better. I mean, Addison was in the tidbits today. He definitely has some stats that go with him that's adding to this ownership and why people, not just the injury, like the other stuff was still there. But as you mentioned, there was another guy on the field that was pretty important to look after when he was there. So that could be part of it. The other thing too, Pat, back to the running back conversation, like the Jeff Wilson versus the Mostert applies here as well, where I would say this is where I want to make my pivots. Like when you're going from a now perceived wide receiver 1 to a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 3 or the tight end, I'm more than okay with that versus something trying to make, I hope this running back gets in at the opportune time to steal the 1-yard touchdown that may not even make them valuable based on price and the slate at hand. So I'd be much more willing to pivot and look for leverage in spots like this with Addison than at running back where I just have a clear good spot where even if it's not the 30-point ceiling, it's still like 20 points plus and I feel good.
I think a good way to look at this is don't get cute at running back, get cute at wide receiver if you want to.
Way higher variance at wide receiver, tight end. You can always mix in the cheap one that fits a game stack versus trying to make a guy like on another slate, a Kelsey or an Andrews, or I know they're not on this slate, but just to say it, I'd rather just get different at wide receiver, a very high variance position. Defense, we talk about it all the time.
Tight end.
Yeah, tight end. Those 3 spots.
Like hell, I don't know what they ended up scoring last week. How did the Giants defense end up? Because they scored the defensive touchdown against Miami. They were the cheapest D on the slate.
Yeah, they were 2,000 and they got something there.
10 points,
10 or
8
11,
points.
I thought. Yeah,
so they were probably
fine.
They were probably the optimal defense for constructing a lineup that you wanted, not like the actual.
The Steelers
optimal.
Got there at 2,700.
True, but you could have saved $700. Like, could
no,
that
I know.
have
So
upgraded
like
you?
all things across the board, like price, value, everything.
Okay.
Like they were the team, and that we talked about them a little bit. If
Not enough.
Well, we said if Lamar comes back and tries to get cute with some of his stuff, and sure enough, it wasn't even him that got cute. It was his guys could not catch a ball, and it turned out to be opportunities for the Steelers. But yeah, we'll look through it when we go at the end, talk some more defenses, and plug them in. But for now, that was my first thoughts.
Addison 20%, KJ Osborne 12%, Brandon Powell 1% is what I'm seeing right now. And again, it's Friday as we talk through this, getting down on Friday.
Powell will pick up some, but he's a cheap guy.
We're doing our Rebecca Black here in honor.
Yeah, we got it covered.
But I'm going to be back on Saturday on Mayo Media Network, so I'll have an update on the ownership from that regard. And then I'll be live again Sunday morning right before you guys go live at 9:45 a.m. Eastern time. I'll be on at 9 a.m. Eastern time, talking through just start-sit questions, and you guys are going to be breaking down the slate, and you guys will have the final ownership on a lot of this stuff. Like, it's so much can change from right now. Like, if KJ Osborne tweaks his hamstring in practice, then Addison's going to be 40% owned.
And we'll know a lot more. Like you said, the Roshan stuff, DK Metcalf stuff. Like, we'll get, and not that those are like slate changing necessarily. Again, the Chicago spot maybe, because I think that'll fit into a lot of optimal type lineups when we get clarity on that situation. But we'll have all that on Sunday. And you were in your bag on Sunday. I was loving that. Back to the band for life. So, I mean, you got to tune in just for that if you're not watching, because that was great.
Some poor unsuspecting people
You had your coffee.
stumble along to that chat, and they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Yeah, they got punched in the mouth for sure. It was good.
Great.
Though.
But hey, I'm here to serve my core audience, and my core audience is me yelling at idiots on the internet. That's it.
You stuck to your roots. I was fine with it. We haven't seen it in a while. This show is obviously recorded now, so we can get as much info as possible, keep it all tight together, and give you thoughts. But that one was a live spot, so we got the Band for Life pack. I loved it.
So just very briefly again, top owned wide receiver being Jordan Addison, Jamar Chase, Josh Touch of the Downs coming in at 17% right now. I don't know if that's going to stick or not, but it does seem with ETN being popular on one side and Downs being popular on the other side, like, it seems like a really good spot to use Michael Pittman if you really wanted to, if he's not going to be super highly owned.
Yeah, or just stack it up.
Yeah.
Fit Downs in that way, and that's another way you can do it. We've seen it plenty of times. I liked your call earlier with most. Again, you're going off the board on going the other way. I don't think many people are going to the Bryce Young side, but in this spot, if you want to use ETN, you could use Minshew, Downs, and Pittman. Minshew's cheap. He's filling in for Richardson, obviously. Phony Tony onto the old IR. Sorry for him. Like, it sucks to see, but exciting player when he's in there. It just it happened already, so that sucks. But the other way is, like you said, secondary stacks might be the way to avoid, actually, like what you were saying.
So Cooper Kupp, Hollywood Brown, Puka, Lockett with the DK news at the moment is driving up his ownership. Christian Kirk. Tyreek actually like 13%. Might be a nice week to use Tyreek. Everyone's using Chase now. Chase had a good week last week, so obviously he's the better fantasy player, not Tyreek. So that's how that works.
Double leverage too, right? Go off Mostert, go to Tyreek, go off Hill, or go off Chase using Hill in that same similar price range. So you could do a double down there.
Oh, Robert Woods has an injury note next to his name.
So isn't Tank Dell also?
I don't think Tank Dell's going to play.
I think he's doubtful.
He's in concussion protocol. So.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be in, but Woods has got a Q tag as well.
Yeah, it was a limited practice. He's an old man. He's like our age.
I got Woods playing this one.
Yeah, I think he's going to play.
Could be. Finally,
the Robert Woods week. I even stopped playing him last week.
3,800 now, Pat. That's the thing.
That's a pretty good price.
You got to get him in the
talk
3K
me in
range.
Bobby Trees at 38 is where I want to be.
If you like him at 5K, you're going to love him at 3,800. So get in on the action now.
Ownership, your boy Kyle Pitts, projected number one.
That's just dumb.
$3,500.
I wonder who will actually come out ahead, though, him or Ertz, because Ertz is $100 more.
I have them 1% differentiation between them. There's actually three of them all in the same price range. It's Pitts, Ertz, and Schultz. 1, 2, 3, 35, 36, 36. All projected for double digits right now, 10, 11, 12%. Then it's like Hawkinson, Logan Thomas, also in that range, getting a lot of love. Laporta got hurt in practice on Thursday.
Yeah,
just keep an eye on it, because this happened to Gibbs last week, where he practiced. All of a sudden, he's just not playing.
Yeah.
The midweek injury where you don't practice is never great.
Big Brock.
The Brock says.
Brock Wright, man. Get him in there. He always takes a little action anyway, but I don't know. What do the Sims say, actually? I'm curious right now on Pitts versus Ertz. You know, you can do the comparison.
Yes, I can do that for you.
I think we can do that. I'm curious about that one because it is $100, and right now the ownership does show pretty similar.
Pitts versus Ertz. I can tell you that points per dollar wise, that is the base projection, so the median projection between them. Ertz is 3 points higher.
Yes,
it's 10.3 points to 7.3 points. That means points per dollar. Ertz is 2.87. That means Kyle Pitts, 2.1. So he's not like a bad play. He is the worst optimal leverage of any tight end on the slate. And this would be a better week to go with Johnny Smith.
Yeah, it could be that. I was also going to say, where does Logan Thomas fall into that at the same price as Pitts?
Logan Thomas is much closer to Ertz than Pitts. So Logan Thomas is 9.89, so points per dollar, he's 2.83. Ertz was the highest at 2.87.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's how I kind of have them. I got him Ertz, Thomas, Pitts.
And that's how the projections have him as well.
Okay. So we're good, but yet ownership shows pretty similar on some of them. So.
And Schultz is actually way below all of them.
As value or ownership?
as value.
Okay, I was going to say ownership is probably lower, but he actually is okay.
I have him as third in ownership. I'm above Hawkinson. Do we just are we overthinking the Chicago Minnesota game that without Justin Jefferson, it's just going to be a ton of Hawkinson?
I think that's a good point to bring up. You mentioned earlier about the Addison thing, and I said we could pivot to somebody else there. It doesn't have to be Osborne, though. Same thing. That's people just go to, the next layer has to be this guy. No, it could just be Hawkinson just gets loaded with targets. The other interesting thing there is that I think, at least coming into the week, I think somewhat people had Laporta interest. And it's like, what was the price difference there? I think Hawkinson is 1,000 more.
Yeah, Hawkinson 66, Laporta Potty is 5,600.
And now that he's probably out, then we'll see how that actually shakes out. But I think that, or not out, but we'll see a late downgrade late in the week. Like you said, is never good. We'll see how it actually shakes out. But I think the Hawkinson with the mini stack of the cheap running back on Chicago could be a way to go instead of Addison, and I don't hate it.
Yeah, and you save the money on the running back anyway.
Yeah.
So instead of punting for Jonnu Smith at $2,900 at tight end, you have like a good tight end and a running back who might end up with like 24 touches in this game. Although, there's just one problem with some of these Bears running backs, Tambo. They're not any good.
Yeah, it's true, but it's a price opportunity play. I would care more if they cost more. But yeah, Jonnu still he got a bump, $3,400, so he's only $100 less than Pitts now. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's good. He's been great.
It's been working out.
He's been good 3 straight weeks.
Yeah.
Defenses, very briefly, the Browns at 2,200 are very highly rated. They're going to be very highly owned. The Cardinals are another one. Then the Dolphins, the Bears, and the Bucks I'm seeing. But there's not one defense right now that is just leaping off the page. So I think you can kind of go with whatever you want. I kind of like the Bucks, 2,300 at home against Detroit.
I like the opposite side.
I mean, I like Detroit fine, too. There's a pretty big price disparity between them.
$400 for D. We've
Yeah.
made this mistake before, playing
Yeah.
$2,500 Ds when $2,900 Ds just smash and you know they're in the spot. So
Okay, yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right about that.
I think that was, again, who cares at defense? But to your point, yeah, it's not, I just don't think it's as big of a price disparity. The ones that I had up the board, though, that again, it's going to be very tough to get to, but obviously San Fran should just clean up. Watson's out now. Like, it sucks because they're 4K, but man.
They are the second points per dollar defense on the board, and they're $4,000.
Yeah, there's so much value this week already, though, I find. Like, even like we don't have the expensive tight end. We don't have these crazy quarterbacks that I feel the need that I have to go up the board and pay for. It's not even like wide receivers very popular this week because Chase is expensive and popular because we talked about Tyreek. You could still get to him in this spot, but even then, like Chase is 8,300 or whatever. So you don't really have. There's nowhere to spend the money. So if you can get there, I actually don't hate it this week because usually people don't want to pay up at defense and they could just smash.
I really like the Falcons defense this week, but they're 3,600, so I don't like that as much. Here, you want to know some leverage that you can get? Ready for this?
What is it?
Everyone wants to play the cheap running back. Maybe you can stack these two up. Bears D, $2,500. Everyone wants to play Addison. They'll play Hawkinson. They're going to get in on everything. Points per dollar wise, Chicago, the best defense on the board.
Interesting, too, because I was doing some hand builds last night, as I always do, like get my stuff ready for today, everything we're going to chat about, and just, put some stuff together.
Giving yourself a handy.
Yeah, there you go. Giving a hand job there. The setup, though, was with Roshan. I was testing out, and I was testing, like, okay, if it ends up being Foreman. But anyway, I kept landing on that spot, and I was like, you know what? It makes sense. I'm not playing Addison. I'm not playing Hawkinson. Let me just leave it in there. And so I actually don't hate that call. It's a good price.
And if you end up playing Foreman or you play Roshan, whatever it might be, then maybe that ends up working for you.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, it definitely goes together well.
So let's build some lineups, and you can see them up on the screen for once, so you can see what we're actually talking about with all this stuff. So you can even see it what I'm doing.
Now I don't have to say, what do you got there?
Yeah, what do you got
I
up
can see
there?
it. Yeah, it's right here. You can almost reach it.
So where do you want to start in terms of, do you want to do that Lawrence build? Do we think that that's going to be pretty popular? Because I'm seeing Stafford, Tua, Burrow, 1, 2, 3, with Lawrence and Fields as the highest owned running backs or quarterbacks right now.
Do you have like an optimal?
I do, but it doesn't
Out of
make
curiosity?
I have an optimal, but it doesn't make a ton of sense.
So we should maybe, if you build it and then you can show how we convert it, because people like to see like how our thought process works. So
Okay,
maybe
so
what is it, and then we'll convert it.
It's Stafford
Yeah.
with, let me jump back and forth here. I need to bloop, bloop, bloop. There, that will make things easier for myself. Stafford, ETN, Swift.
Etienne Swift.
Swifty. Mm-hmm. And then it has Kieran Williams in the flex. So that's obviously the part that's not great.
Hey, still he can Catch passes from Stafford?
He can catch passes from him. Maybe that's a way to get a little bit different. Nico Collins and Jamar Chase at wide receiver. This is going to have some loser in it at the very end. If these are the guys that we have in right now. Kendrick Bourne as a receiver.
Okay.
Which actually does make a lot of sense. The pass defense for the Raiders is absolute dog shit. And probably no Juju, no Demario Douglas. And he's their only good receiver.
Also, that game's going to pop off this week.
Because everyone is off of it?
Double revenge.
It is.
I've marked the calendar, buddy. This is it. Jimmy G. Jacoby going up against New England. And then you run it back with Bourne.
Ertz and Bears D.
Ertz and Bears. Oh, it is the Bears D. Nice.
Bears D at 25. Yeah, and that uses all your money. And there we are.
Wow.
So that is the optimal
Interestingly,
right now.
that's one of our highest ever projections on a Friday show this year.
Boom. Just use that lineup. You win $1 million.
I don't know about
Easy
that,
game.
The thing is, that's interesting is it likes Kieran Williams, and it's not like your optimal setting up for correlation anyway. It's just naturally how it's going.
It's not, but Williams, per the projections right now and per the ownership right now, I believe is the best leverage on the slate. And actually, it's Kendrick Bourne, Chris Godwin, then Williams.
I'm just saying it doesn't for some reason have Mostert in there for $100 less, but I have him projecting better than Williams.
You have him projected for higher than Williams?
Yes.
Let's see.
Especially when Williams is now competing with Kupp, Nakua, all the other guys that go with him. I know they traded away Van Jefferson to Atlanta. That's the other thing that tried to make the Kirk Cousins thing look better. It's and they got Van Jefferson.
Oh, yeah, Van Jefferson.
They're amazing.
Watch out.
Yeah, be careful. I don't know. I just thought that was the first easy swap that you could do. It was just take Williams up to, down actually, $100 down.
So Mostert's cheaper. So the reason that it is giving us Williams instead of Mostert, I'm just looking at it right now, is just because of the ownership projection.
Gotcha.
Is that far more people are using Mostert than are using Williams, and they project enough around each other that it's worth kind of biting the bullet with Williams versus whatever it might be. I mean, if you like Mostert better, play Mostert.
Do you like Swift?
No.
I'd put the Chicago guy in for Swift.
So that's the first change we'll make. Well, are we just going to say it's Roshan?
For now, let's say it's.
I mean, I don't think Roshan's going to play.
Okay, let's do Foreman. Actually, you're right because he still hasn't even.
He hasn't passed. He hasn't practiced. He hasn't passed concussion protocol.
That's right.
I don't know why. Maybe that changes Friday afternoon. I will have the injury update in the newsletter for you. You want to subscribe to the newsletter? That's fucking easy stuff. You hit the description, put in your email. After you click on the Substack link, you're good to go. It'll get sent right to you, and then I'll do the update on Saturday afternoon and Sunday morning on Mayo Media Network. You'd have to be a moron to miss it, but here we are. We have freed up $1,700. Now, the funny thing is, with this lineup, although it was completely uncorrelated, I don't feel like we needed Foreman.
No.
I was good enough getting off Jamar Chase, going down to someone else and upgrading Kendrick Bourne or something.
I'm trying to go from Jamar Chase to Kupp, though, so that you've got Stafford, Kupp, Ertz. Is where I was thinking about getting this to, because I know that will still project good, and obviously Kupp can just rack up more than.
So now we have $1,000 left over.
Still 1,000 to go.
And we've churned Chase into Kupps. Now we have Stafford, Kupp. Do we want to play Stafford, Kupp, and Williams, or should we launch Williams into Mostert now?
I put him into Mostert for now.
Okay.
Mostert?
Mostert,
Potato? I don't know.
Colonel Mostert?
Yeah.
And now we have 1,100. How much is Chark? How much is Mingo? Mingo's 35. Chark is 4,000. We can swap Bourne into Chark very easily. And now we have Mostert with DJ Chark in that game. If we want to back and forth. If we want the back and forth. We don't need to do that, obviously.
It's only thing is, man, that's crazy. We have 50.
Pittman is 63.
Yeah, with 5,300, what I was just looking at, though, you just took Collins up just to see, it was it gets us to Marquise Brown. We don't want two of those guys, but Atwell is right there also. So
I did. Okay, who gets us to Marquise Brown? This Pittman spot?
Pittman goes to Collins, who was in there originally, which we can swap around, but Collins is in there.
And Chark.
And then Chark goes with 5,300.
And that is Hollywood Brown?
Yes, Brown.
Marquise Brown, and then we turn Ertz into Logan Thomas. So we don't have as many. They were very close in projections anyway. So now,
and that leaves us $100, right?
That leaves us $100 if we want it. Do we need Etienne in this lineup? I know he projects out really well. He's gonna be the highest owned guy. I'm not in love with him this week.
The Logan Thomas build was quite a bit worse that we swapped it to. It's interesting, but
Well, that means the projections that you are using are
oh
different.
no, it does not. It's because sorry, it actually was fine. It's because Foreman is projected so low right now.
Because it probably has Roshan.
Well, waiting on the exactly. I have Roshan in right now.
Well, I can effort this as we're talking here. I can go to the Run the Sims sim runner as we're talking through it. If you want to make any sort of where do you think this? How does this line up now with Stafford and Cup with Hollywood Brown coming back right out versus the first one that we built?
This rates out like 7 points less,
But
it has Foreman in who's not projected for much right now because most of it's going to Roshan.
so if we go to the main slate in the sim runner, I'll turn off pro mode for the moment and go to where's the stupid Bears game? I'm already on the Bears game. So right now we have Roshan projected as big zeros across the board. So we at Run the Sims we have Donta Foreman projected for 34% of the market share of rushing, Darrington Evans for 22%, who they just picked up off the street.
Yep.
And then 8% market share of receiving for Evans. It's basically telling us that Foreman sucks and isn't going to do anything.
What's does it give a projection for Foreman based on that?
I can give you a projection.
Because then we can
If
apply.
I run the Sims, I can give you a projection on it.
That's what we need.
And then you can plug that in as whatever it might be. Now, when you plug in your projections, do you use upside? Do you use median?
I use the median to start with. I'll look at ceiling and stuff as well, but essentially I'm just looking at what's projecting against what, and then what's the ownership that goes with it. What does the roster construction look like? Is there any leverage in it? Or...
Foreman, 7.2 points.
Okay, so and I already have him close to that, even with that. That's interesting though, because like right now I have Roshan for more points, so I don't know where they're putting the rest of the points on that offense. Maybe
Onto Evans or Fields, probably.
Fields or DJ Moore, who puts up big points every week now.
50 points a game.
Yeah.
Easy game. So that gives, just in full context, that gives Foreman 9 attempts for 39 yards, 1 catch for 7 yards, and a third of a touchdown.
Is there any other pass catchers with Stafford that you have interest in?
I mean, Puka.
So it only gets us 1,000. I'm thinking about getting Chicago out of here and going down to. We can go down to Puka for now, right?
So Cup down to Puka at 8,000, then Bears down to...
I just took no. I kept Bears. I took Foreman out. We can mess with the D later, but I'm saying let's try and get back to another running back.
Oh, okay. Every time that I see R. White, I just assume it's Roddy White, but it's not.
Or Chad,
It's Rashad White.
as I like to call him,
But
Rashad White. Yeah.
I think that's actually the play right there. Easy. I think that he is a bell cow back in an offense that's going to not listen. They're not going to play the fastest pace possible, but we still don't know about Mike Evans in that Tampa game. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It doesn't seem like anyone's using Rashad White. This could be a game where he ends up with like 8 catches, especially if Evans is out. And Detroit's defense is fine. I don't think that they're immune to having the ball moved against them.
Yeah, I don't necessarily love the call. Like I don't need the Collins play at almost 6K. I know he's good. I'm just saying I was looking like how do I get Rashad White to like somebody else? Like who else was up there that you liked? You didn't love Mixon, but
Oh, you want to get back like up.
I was trying to get like Mostert, ETN, and somebody else.
Here's how you do it. Take out Foreman, take out Nico Collins. I don't even like Nico Collins this week.
Yeah, okay.
So let's turn one of them into Mingo or DJ Chark to go along with Mostert.
Mingo pops at 3,500. That leaves us 7,600.
Do we even need that much?
We can mess around with the D. Now we can get David Montgomery or go down to like Josh Jacobs, Kenneth Walker. I don't know who else you like down there, but some of these guys at the bottom.
So we could have any running back we want, basically.
except
for
CMC.
McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anyone in particular that you like?
I'm actually looking now just to see what does that do. Is there a guy at 6,100 that we like? Swift. All right, here's one.
So we're back on Swift?
Well, this projects well. I'll just give you an example because you've got it up here. If you plug in Swift for the running back spot, 6,100, you have the exact money to get the San Francisco D. This is my point. This is actually a good, like to me, it projects well. It's lower ownership, but look at this lineup. You got Stafford, Nakua with Marquise Brown on the other side. You have a secondary stack with Mingo and Mostert.
Oh, if you press Zoom 1, you can bring that up. Boom. There we go.
There you go. Yeah. And so then you have ETN, who we were fine with, like whatever. The lineup's different enough. You have Logan Thomas in there, which can be other guys, like whoever else you want him to be. And then you've got the San Francisco D. This is my point. Like, you can get San Francisco D this week and not have to worry too much about going away from the other side. So I don't know. Like, that's just a starting point, but just to show one version.
Is there anyone in this upper level of running backs that you don't mind? Like, just around the Swift level. So you have Swift at $6,000, but then you have Breece Hall in what's probably the toughest matchup of the week. And then after that, Brian Robinson is still there. Atlanta's rush defense has been very good against fantasy-wise against running backs. Like, Madison is just chilling. I don't like Madison, but he's $5,600. Like I said, I like Rashad White at $5,500.
Yeah, I really just like, I mentioned, I like the guys at the top. I like CMC, McCaffrey more than that mid-tier 6K range. And then down from there, I kind of like, I guess, Swift just for that offense. I haven't liked him very much these last couple weeks, but this week at that matchup, the price, maybe just get some chances. No, I don't.
What if we take ETN out?
Then what, to go to who? Yeah.
I don't know. This is what I'm trying to figure out.
What happens if we get CMC in there? 3,700.
Do you like CMC against Cleveland?
I do. I like CMC every week. Last week, just, one of those weeks, but it was on a primetime game against Arizona, though. Before that, it's like walking 30 points on average.
Cheap defenses. Like I said, I don't mind the Buccaneers at home. You probably don't want to play Browns against Christian McCaffrey. Who's the cheapest one that you like? Do we just go back to Bears?
That's what I'm thinking.
Because you can make this pretty easy. You go back to Bears and go back to Foreman if you wanted to, or take someone else down.
You get 5,200, I think. Oh, do you like Dameon Pierce?
Nah. I don't really like anyone against the Saints in terms of being offensively gifted.
Sucks, but he was another guy I saw today. I didn't make the tidbits because it came out too late, but he went from like no snaps, up snaps to 100% of the rush last week, and he got his offensive line back, so that was something. He's there at 5,100.
Yeah, it's tough this week if we're going to build around Stafford and want either Puka or Kupp with them. I think that's what we're finding out.
Yeah, I would say that
I
tells you when it's time to move on. Let's find a different stack.
All right.
I think we're going to like things better.
I don't think that we need to have McCaffrey here either, although I'm going to play this 49ers lineup. Who was the other running back? Who was the 71? It was ETN. I'm going to play that one in this $5 contest.
Yeah, I didn't hate that build. I'll be honest, that was a decent one.
Wasn't a bad one.
And instead of choosing between like the Atlanta tight end, you just go to the other side with the Washington spot, where clearly Howell, if you remember the last Allen game, you just checked down to him 100 times.
I mean, I'm in on Sam Howell and Bryce Young lineups this week.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at. I'm going to actually look at points per dollar wise and see who the best quarterbacks are going to be if we get build a cheap stack. Is there another? Should we build the Lawrence one first? Do you think that would make the most sense?
Yeah, we could. I like that one to build. Yeah,
It's funny because Stafford is the best projected points per dollar quarterback on the slate right now. Then Burrow, then Lawrence, then Peach. $4,000. Not doing it.
No,
Can't do it.
I don't know. I don't have much interest there right now. I'm looking at some of the other guys. I like some of the others, like Burrow. Again, he's still too cheap, I think, so I'm fine with that. I've got my disgusting ones are Minshew and Garoppolo.
Let's do Minshew.
What about Lawrence?
Okay, let's do Lawrence first.
We've been talking about that one.
Yeah.
I want to kind of build that.
So
out.
Trevi, we'll chuck in Trevi. I don't think that Zay Jones is going to play. Is that where we're landing on this?
Yeah, you're going Kirk and Ingram here.
You don't want Ridley?
Well, I do, but I'm saying like I like the cheaper version of this stack, which what I like is this 3-man setup, and then you can pick one guy and you still have opportunity to fill all your running backs and some secondary stacks, a cheap D, whatever you want to put in there. So for now.
So we have $5,600. Let's see if there's a couple of running backs that we really like. We liked Williams.
Do you want to try it with Pittman first, over Downs?
Yeah, one sec. Well, I just want to go with Williams and Mostert. And did you like Swift, ETN, or Montgomery better?
Montgomery.
Flea market. David Montgomery, and then we squeeze in Pittman. And then we drop down to, this is so doable. Drop down now, Bears D again at 25. That's where you want to go. We got 46 for a receiver. Probably don't even need that much for a receiver. You got KJ Osborne if you want him against your defense, if that's the way that you want to go. But you could upgrade your defense at that point too.
I'd probably just play Tyler Boyd since we're not playing Chase. You're just trying to steal it. No Mixon, no Chase, just jam Boyd and steal it that way.
Yeah.
So I think people always go, this one thing I will bring up quickly because it's like a strategy piece or something people talk to me about all the time. Like, oh yeah, but this, and I said it myself last week. I said Tyler Boyd sucks. Like, I don't care. I'll say it. But if I land on a lineup where it's something like this, I'm not playing Tyler Boyd to be Tyler Boyd. I hope he does good in this lineup because I want it to have maximum output. But what I'm saying is if I just land there and it makes sense, well, what makes sense? Everyone's playing Mixon or Chase. We're not. So then why wouldn't I just be okay with landing here if I did? That's all I'm trying to say. I'd be okay with it just based on that.
Well, there's the potential that T. Higgins could play. I don't think that he is going to play, but he could play this week. And I would just rather, I think there are honestly more, I don't want to say reliable options in this price range. And I get the idea of getting the leverage of using Boyd against a very highly owned Jamar Chase. I think if it's just going to be one player that is uncorrelated to the rest of our lineup just to fill it out at $4,600, I'd rather just pick the guy that I think is has the highest upside.
That's what you do. That's what a lot of people do. I think that's bad. I think I'm looking to leverage the lineup and say what's going to screw everybody else and give me maximum leverage is when, like last week, I'll still say this guy sucks because he has no ceiling. You never see it. But last week he almost hit his ceiling, Pat. He went 6 for 7 for 39. And again, hopefully Higgins is out for this. But I'm saying I think they called back a touchdown on Boyd. I can't remember if he dropped it or they called it back. But either way, my point is he played like almost all the snaps. It was like 60 of 80 or so. He was out there 75% of the time. Dropping back, he's there. I just that's where I'll do it. Versus you're not wrong. I'm just saying it's opinion. I just don't mind it, and that's what I always talk about when I land on a spot like that. People wonder how you got there. That's how I got there.
Like, could you over-correlate your lineup and just use Downs instead?
I think you could just... How much is he?
41. Then you can upgrade Bears to a $3,000 defense if you wanted to.
Sure, yeah.
Like I said, I like Chark in this range. Or you can just even use Mingo as well, because, again, that correlates it with Mostert.
Here's another example, actually. You just did it for me. Okay, I'll put Downs in. That's fine. We have a...
But, But I guess my question is, do we really want to have 5 players from this game?
It's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely fine. So 45-point total almost. But what I'm saying is that lands me on Minnesota D, which is opposite of Chicago. And be like, oh, but I don't want to play that. Who cares? You're not playing Addison. You're not playing Roshan. You're not playing Foreman, whoever it ends up being. You're not playing Fields, Moore, any of those guys. I just landed here. Same thing I just said. I actually like that. I'll just play it because it's the opposite. And people are landing on Bears. Bears project well. Bears flip good. They're not like they're the highest owned or something. But I'm saying that's the type of stuff I'm doing when I'm looking at a hand build where I'm actually fine with it. What if you take Pittman out and leave Downs? Because I think most people have Downs with ETN, right? And we said how that could maybe be a bad combo because a lot of people are using that as their secondary stack.
So we get rid of Pittman.
So we're okay using Downs in this build because of that. We can take the D back out, take the Vikings out. Could we get Marquise Brown to go with Williams? Try and keep like a similar range of that.
We can get, you know what might work here? Let's see.
Oh, wow, that lands us on San Francisco D.
It does, or we don't necessarily need to do that. What we can do, what I like better actually, because I keep talking about Chark, I keep talking about Mingo. What if instead of Brown, we get to use Thielen, who's just been raking every single week, put him in at 59, and we still have 54 for a defense. If we want to go that route, that gives us Jags D. Probably don't want to use that. Saints D against Houston sounds pretty good.
Who did I miss out on here? I got him. Mostert, Montgomery, Ingram.
There's no defense in.
Oh, I got 3,400. Oh, I thought you said 5,400.
No, $3,400.
3,400. I was like, we don't need that much. Yeah, I don't know who I go with there. Maybe New Orleans, but
New Orleans would be my pick.
Stroud makes no mistakes. He
doesn't, but this is like a real defense he's playing now.
All right. Again, it works. There's no Houston guy. There's no Nico Collins. There's whatever. That's fine. If I see it that way, to everything I just said, it just wasn't one that popped up for me. So I was trying to see. Like Thielen can just be again, but we don't need it.
Let's do this instead.
Can we go Mingo Pittman there?
We probably could, but we can turn Kyron Williams into Swift, and then we can play Philly D. Where the hell is Philly D? Eagles D 3,800. That fits perfectly. That's a 2v2 that we can make.
Leave it up for a second because I'm going to tell you this one, then I want to copy that one.
Yep.
You wanted to play Atlanta D?
Yeah.
The Mingo Pittman version of what we just built was Atlanta D.
Was it?
And it's really nice.
So Mingo Pittman.
So you have Thielen, Kirk, Downs, Montgomery. You have Eagles.
So it takes Downs out, switches him to Pittman, and then I guess I changed the lineup enough that it doesn't work that way. But you basically turn Downs into Mingo.
Yeah, I'm going to get this one real quick because I see
Pittman.
what you got there. You have Thielen with Swift you went back to, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then you went Thielen instead and Downs instead of Pittman. So I'll give it to you here. So you can change it now because I have it. You're changing Thielen to Mingo.
Thielen to Mingo, okay. Voodoo?
Yeah, the one you just got. You're changing Thielen to Mingo.
And then Downs into Pittman.
Swift to Kieran Williams. Back to Kieran Williams.
Swift to Williams. And then
Eagles D
to-
drops to Atlanta. And so
Boom.
now you've got Lawrence, Kirk, Ingram. You get to go Pittman instead of Downs. So instead a lot of people will have ETN Downs, you've got Pittman in with the passing attack on the Jacksonville side. You've got the Mostert, Mingo mini stack. You get some action to the high total game through Williams. You get Montgomery on the ground at just a slightly higher price if they keep running it. And then you get Atlanta D that you wanted versus Hal, who I know you still want him too, but you get both.
Yeah, this is just...
In this one, you don't have him, exactly.
That's not bad.
It's another one decent that projects okay too, so I don't hate it.
Sorry, you are already entered into this contest. Well, that's good.
Put it in the 555, Millie.
I don't know if I'm going to play that one this week. Not sure.
All right.
Not quite sure about that one. Gonna enter the... I'm just loading these in the $5.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saving them all, and we'll look at them after. But
Okay, so let's do a cheap one. I mean, you brought up...
you had it. You said there was one you wanted to build, and then
Yeah,
I cut you off.
I wanted to do Bryce Young.
Yeah, there it is.
Because I think this one is really interesting. And I think that Miami scores so much in bulk in a weird way that I think it's pretty logical because the Bryce Young side is so cheap. And I think that you use Thielen with him. And then do you like Chark or Mingo better?
I'm going to try and keep making Mingo work.
You're going to make Mingo work? I do think that, like, based on, I think if you take like a medium projection versus an upside projection, I think that DJ Chark has the potential to score way more points because they're going to use him down the field if they ever do connect, where Mingo's going to be their underneath guy. He might end up with more. He's probably going to end up with more targets. He's probably going to end up with more catches, but Chark's catches may just be more valuable if he hits. And like we're playing for this lineup to hit, right?
Yeah, and Chark's actually hit well. Thielen's been hitting too, so I kind of like actually that. Let's go Chark with him.
Okay, so
and get Mostert in there.
Yeah, but what I wanted to do was do this.
Assuming you're getting Tyreek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just
You have the money to do it, so why not?
That's the thing. With this lineup, you have the money to do that.
Agreed.
And you can still get all your good running backs that you wanted to get in if you use a cheaper D and a cheaper tight end.
So can we get Ertz and Williams mini stack?
I wouldn't even think about that to begin with. You said you liked Lions D?
I was trying to see what the Chicago version gives us.
How about Lions D and Montgomery? And we need a cheap tight end. We get Ertz. Give him the squirts.
Lions D.
And now we're at 57, which kind of sucks.
Lions D, Montgomery. Well, you could leave Ertz out for a second.
But where else are we really going to go down to is the thing.
I think
Hey, get you Addison if you want him. Get you Lockett if you want him. Lockett's not terrible here. It's probably better if DK plays because then no one's going to use Lockett. But just as a random flex to chuck in, he's right there.
Yeah, I feel better about this one. Like, same thing you have there. You can be...
Into the mic, by the way.
Yeah, it's this chair.
I know.
We
But
got to
you
toss
don't-
this.
you can just turn the mic if you're going to look at the screen.
The lineup I got with it is David Montgomery with Detroit D, but I got Ertz. I got Jamar Chase in there and Kieran Williams.
Instead of Hill and Montgomery?
You have Lockett. I don't have Lockett.
Okay.
I have Chase. I have 3 running backs. I have Mostert, Williams, and Montgomery.
Mostert, Williams, and Montgomery. So there's no Tyreek Hill in your lineup. It's Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Okay. That would be the
So
difference.
that's just to show you what you can switch it to, but...
And you had Williams in? Kyron Williams?
It still gets you the... So what I have is a 3-1 with the young Chark, Thielen, with Mostert doing the work for Miami, taking away, hopefully, from Hill in this lineup. And then you'd have Williams, Ertz, Montgomery with his D, and you still have a way to play Jamar Chase, who's going to be popular, but is he going to be popular and in Bryce Young lineups? Probably not.
Probably not.
So...
I like the overload with Tyreek.
And sorry, he can fit into Bryce Young lineups for people wondering, but I'm saying, like, how many people are going to have the right Bryce Young lineup that also has Chase in there? So to me, that's where you could find a way to get different. But the overload would push it to make it work. I just think that's the other thing. When you have those savings, more people are going to get to that as well.
True. How many people do you think are going to make Bryce Young lineups?
Not enough to matter, so it's whatever you want.
So I'll play both versions of that. I'll take Chase out, put Hill back in. And I probably won't use Lions D this time around. Just try to finagle it a little bit because then I can take... Who did I have in? I had Williams in. Who was the cheaper tight end, not Ertz?
I think we just used the same. We just moved to Logan Thomas last time.
Did we? Logan Thomas? Is there anyone cheaper that we don't mind? Nah, not really, is there?
Not really right now this week because
Nothing has opened up enough for us to go to that. So, yeah, let's
see if I had anybody else here.
throw Logan Thomas in. Who was the 2000 D? The Panthers D. Probably don't want to do that in our Bryce Young stacks.
You could. There is a guy I have actually at tight end that we didn't mention yet. But finally, my guy Granson, him and Minshew got a little connection going on. So you could use Granson at 2,900 if you want to save 600.
And then that gets us to Patriots D. That's interesting.
How much is the?
They're 26 because now this doesn't give us the Lions D. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Instead of using Granson, we can go back to. I actually like Logan Thomas. I like Logan Thomas better than Ertz. Strangely enough, I just think there's like legitimate. Like Ertz's upside is going to be like 7 for 41 and 2 touchdowns. Like that's the game that he needs to have. Logan Thomas still seems like he has a little bit in the tank that. Although he is a very short A-dot player as well, much like Ertz, he still has max athleticism that he can make a guy miss and take off down the field. Ertz legitimately cannot do that at this point.
And that's what we talked about last week with Ertz. Like, there you go. He gets his touchdown even. And what's he get? 9 points.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it goes both ways. I get it. But at the same time, it's really tough to get it there. So I have Young, Chark, Thielen.
So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put Hill back in place of Chase.
Okay.
And then Logan Thomas in at tight end instead of Zach Ertz. I'm going to play Rashad White as my flex in the late set of games to go along with David Montgomery. Just play both running backs from that game. And then Vikings D at $3,000. Although the Sims really liked Chris Godwin. I guess he's $6,900, so that's no good. You could turn the Vikings D at $3,000 because we're not using any Bears guys. But you could very easily go back to using Tyler Lockett as the flex and Lions D as your defense to go along with Montgomery. Then you have $100 left on the table. I don't mind that either.
Yeah, that one looked fine too. You got $100. I saw it.
So let's go with Lockett and Lions D.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get Jets D against Philly if you want to. Don't love that.
$100 shy. I was thinking like you could almost get Madison and just again play it if you're not playing Addison. What if it's not Addison? It's Madison. Could be a thing. And if he ends up being double leverage, if people do play the cheap Chicago back there, but I was trying to get the double down on that defense, but I need $100 and I don't have it. Was there a guy at 3,400 at tight end?
No, there wasn't.
Oh, Jonnu.
Oh, Jonnu Vision?
Jonnu Vision. And I go get Minnesota D. Yeah, these don't project good, but for Bryce Young lineups, that's not bad. And you get the overload. Madison with the Minnesota D. That's double leverage because you're playing Madison instead of Addison, and you're playing Minnesota D instead of what may be a popular Chicago backup running back if it gets ruled out that way, or if people are playing Chicago D. And then you've got Jonnu in there at $3,400 versus the $3,500 options. And in his partner, Kyle Pitts, we talked about Ertz, and then even Logan Thomas. So it's really just one of those plays where you're just pivoting off them.
Now, you were telling me that your favorite stack of the week is P.J. Walker, Amari Cooper, and Hellraiser at tight end.
No.
So that's not going to work?
No, I wasn't on that one, but I could do the Jimmy G one if you want.
Okay, let's do Jimmy G. That'll be the last one that we do. Because I think that very similarly, when you look at this, like if we're going to build out a Minshew one, if we're going to build out a Sam Howell one, I think they all kind of look pretty much how those Bryce Young ones look, just with the players from those teams.
Yeah, you can pretty much swap them for the most part. If you want to just import and see what that looks like, that's kind of what I do. Like I said, when I'm building them the night before coming here, I'm just like, what does this do for me? What if I swap to this stack? And so I would honestly just go, look, I get it. And
do you want to play skinny stack, Jimmy Adams Myers? Or do you just want to do Jimmy Adams?
I want to do Jimmy Jacoby, double revenge here.
So no Adams.
2 former Patriots.
It strikes me as very difficult for Jimmy G to get there if Devontae Adams isn't doing much.
You can add him to this. That's what I was going to say. My thing was, though, if you only want to do a skinny stack, I was saying I was going to go with that because he's basically been Adams for much cheaper.
By the way, in that last lineup that we built that I used Lockett in as the flex, you can change Lockett into Myers if you wanted to, who's been great.
Mm-hmm. With the $100 left over, yeah. Yep, you're right. The thing I was going to say, though, is this is where I want to use Kendrick Bourne.
Save all that money.
And now the thing would be is to use $8,100 Adams or
Jamar or Tyreek.
Plug in exactly one of the higher owned guys or one of the higher price guys than him, Chase or
now does that make sense in terms of correlation? Like, just because I know that if Jimmy G at $5,300 is good enough to win me a tournament, I just don't understand how he does that without Devontae Adams.
Let's see. Twofold. I mean, the answer twofold while I'm looking something up is that, yeah, I mean, what you said is that would be the way. But the other thing is also that, like, anyone who stacks Jimmy G is likely to have $8,100 Adams.
Yes.
So by you having Jamar Chase in there, again, that's another different way that you can go about doing
It is a different way, but how many Jimmy G lineups am I really competing against?
Yeah.
Because no one's going to this game.
So 924. Let me see.
Like, Jimmy G projected 3% owned right now. Sims like him, by the way.
Yeah, he's definitely a good play.
So
Just has to get there.
I would like to build this with Adams in, but you're saying
I'm saying we just do it all. When you said I want a skinny stack and you said it has to be Adams, I'm saying I don't think it has to be.
Okay,
Because we
fair
can fill it
enough.
out with other stuff. But I want the double revenge no matter what. So what I like that you said, and I like building lineups like this, we've talked about this in strategy shows in the past, is filling up all your wide receiver spots with a game that nobody's on. Because now you can do whatever you want at this point because there's no way that many people have Myers-born Adams taking up their 3 wide receiver spots. But we do. And it makes sense because now the quarterback attached is Adams having a big 45-point game, Myers getting you 15 to 20, 30, somewhere in that range, and that makes Jimmy G needed, and now you've got Bourne on the other side. We can do whatever we want now.
Bijan, Logan Thomas.
You want to try that one?
Yeah, 72 and 35 correlate with each other at running back and tight end.
Okay.
And then we still have $5,300 for a running back, a flex, and a DSD.
So if you go Mostert and your Bears D,
Do you think that
who
Mostert's
cares?
the best running back play?
Oh, damn.
Or are we just... Do you have those... I know you said that you're not like sweating the Jeff Wilson stuff at all. Is it in the back of your head a little bit like, this is going to suck?
No.
When Jeff Wilson scores 4 touchdowns.
If it happens, it happens. But I don't have Mostert as the best play there either. I just thought because, like I said, we're already off the chalk. We can do whatever we want. I have Montgomery. I have CMC. I have Mixon. I have Swift. I got all these guys above. But
Okay.
Mostert's spot is good, so that's why.
Let's turn Mostert into Swift
Okay.
and then play David Montgomery as well. We have $2,500 for a defense. We're not playing anyone from that Browns-Bears game. We can use Bears D.
There it is. That's what I mean. We pretty much got the guys we wanted earlier and liked, but now we get Bijan instead of
ETN.
Kieran Williams or
And
ETN. And yeah, really it's ETN, but yeah, because it's $200 more too. That's perfect. But yeah, that's the type of setup that I'm looking at. Now,
This lineup projects for 4 points. I have no idea.
no, it's actually not bad. It's only like 7 points off the original.
Okay.
But also you can do this. You could take Bijan to ETN, move.
Why isn't it letting me enter this contest? Am I maxed out in this contest? Just throw it in the $3 then.
Just get her in there somewhere before we lose track.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the lineups get saved.
Yeah, Johnny. It's not as good. Yeah, I like what we just had. I think that was a good way to go about it.
I'm just trying to think, is there a way that we can get up to... it's not that I'm worried about CMC in this game. It's just, it is a very good defense that they're going up against. It looks like the weather is going to be super sloppy, super windy, and it just doesn't feel like they're going to have to do that much to beat Peach.
It's tough to go in there. Like, anyway, the dog pound, it's
Yeah.
always tough to play. But this San Francisco team, what is the run now of 30-point games? Like, that's the thing. When you just put that on paper and do it out, it's going to just be somehow CMC gets there. But I don't know. Like you said, I'm not against it, but in certain lineups, you can definitely get different in other places. With this lineup, it definitely also looks good just to have someone like ETN, Swift, Montgomery in that range, Bijan, the guy we had in there. All that looks good to me still.
So we'll go with David Montgomery. Any worries about how good Tampa's run D's been?
No, I look at that stuff less than most probably, but I just people, this, cornerback's gonna lock this guy up. This defense so good against her. What was the irony last? Okay, the biggest irony of all time. All these defenses fail against Tennessee. Sorry, all these running backs fail against Tennessee as chalk. Last week, Jonathan Taylor finally gets his contract, and then Zach Moss smashes the Tennessee Titans run D. Like that, just insane. So, I was just looking at one more thing here.
I was trying to see what I have up here right now. I've taken out Bijan. I guess we don't need Logan Thomas in this, but I put back in ETN to pair him up with Michael Pittman down there and bumped up David Montgomery to our running back slot. So we don't have Mostert. We don't have Williams. We don't have Bijan at this point. There's no Swift in this lineup.
Montgomery, ETN. Who's the tight? Oh, you can get this to work then because we don't have Bijan anymore. So you go Jonnu. And then you've got Chicago, and you've got the secondary stack with Pittman.
There it is. Well, that was easy.
That worked. That's fine. I don't hate that either. I mean, a lot of people are looking at it each week about, can you play this? Wide receivers in the flex are always fine for, people wondering. But, yeah, that doesn't project good either still. But it's
Not
the
shocking.
stack that we're on.
Not shocking.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's no Raiders or Patriots stack that you're going to make that's going to project out well with that total. But I don't mind it because, as I mentioned off the top, that the weather, I don't think it's going to be like the end-all, be-all. We went through this earlier this year, and it didn't end up making a difference whatsoever. But if it is windy, it is wet, it's starting to get a little bit colder out now, that you have some of these games this week, especially some overlooked games. Like, I would much rather try the New England-Vegas game indoors in Vegas than the Saints and Houston game inside in Houston. But those are two low-ish totals that are safe from the weather. Whatever might end up happening, the weather is going to be good in those games. The weather is going to be good in Atlanta for that game. The weather is going to be good in LA for that game. And then the other ones are all outdoors and subject to shitty weather. So it's tough.
Yeah, you got to look at it from that angle for sure. But I think, like, the other thing I was just testing while you were doing that is if you swap out, you can almost get to Burrow, Chase, Boyd, Lockett for those four.
For Jimmy, Adams, Myers, and Bourne?
It's close, is what I'm saying. Like, I didn't fully finish it here just to see what it got to, but it's not far off from what you'd be looking at.
All right, let's load it back in. See what we got on the go.
I think I can actually get to Bijan.
Bijan, as they were calling him.
Bijan. No, but this
Bijan.
lineup you might need to go to. Oh, wow, this is funny. If Foreman ends up playing, this is a good lineup.
All right, hit me with it. So Jimmy turns into Burrow?
It goes Burrow.
Burrow Chase in the Adams spot, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Myers.
Swap ETN to Bijan.
Okay.
You're taking up all your wide receiver slots like we were before. Now it's Boyd, Chase, and Lockett going in there.
Boyd, Chase, and Lockett. Lockett. Okay.
And then you're swapping the defense is Chicago. Sorry, you're swapping for you. You're putting Foreman in the other spot.
In the other running back or the flex?
Whatever it works out to. I didn't look at the board right now, but you're putting him in.
Okay.
I think Detroit's in the afternoon, right? So yeah, it'll be Montgomery in the flex, but you're putting Foreman in with the Chicago D.
David Montgomery. Yeah, you have 2,800. You could even use Lions D here.
Well, I got up to Ertz. You could do whatever you wanted, but yeah, you could also just do that. You could leave Jonnu, or who do you like better? You said you liked.
I like Logan Thomas better than Ertz.
Logan Thomas.
So they're the same price. You can make it work both ways, and you can still use Lions D. Yeah.
I like the Lions D version better.
Yeah, there you go. Burrow, Chase, Boyd with Lockett.
Damn.
Logan Thomas, Montgomery, and Lions D. And then you have Bijan and Donta Foreman. And you have Logan Thomas with Bijan.
This is the best one. That's what I'm saying. That's the perfect setup. If we get the Foreman spot.
Let's get the Foreman spot then. Tell him. Put in the call.
Yeah.
And we can enjoy his 9 carries for 24 yards. You might end up with that. Something like that. That's not crazy. Sorry about your seat.
Oh, it's good. We're going to buy a new seat for next time.
Yeah, I'm actually going to win this week, and I'll buy a new seat. How about that?
I might just buy it anyway.
Just bring in your own chair with you.
BYOC to the studio.
I need to. What I keep forgetting to do is I need to measure everything because I can't have a seat that's like too low.
Just true.
And then be like, oh great, now I need to bring this back. One thing I hate, bringing stuff back.
Absolute worst. Or returns, especially if you do online stuff. I know usually like Amazon is pretty easy, but anything else is the worst. But if we got standalone chairs, then it would show
What if we just stood up?
the proper heights. Oh, standing desks
Yeah,
are a
it would
new
be-
thing. Popularity.
I'll cut off your sleeves. You can be Pat McAfee, and I'll be Pat Mayo. Pat on Pat.
Oh, God, that'd be perfect. You do have the same initials.
We
so-
do. You need to start doing some like bicep curl.
Big time.
I know you're going to the gym, but like
Not like that.
He's got the guns on the go.
Yeah, he's got the muscle shirt on too, so he's trying to show it off. But he's totally different everywhere else that he goes, so we'll have to see.
All right. Toe Tag and Tambo on Twitter. You can find the tidbits up there right now. Additionally, shipitnation.com using code MAYO will get you a discount over there. The new prop package at Run the Sims, code MAYO will get you 10% over there as well. I say put them together. Sounds easy enough. You get all the content that you need, how to use the tools, what are the plays, how to put everything together. Then you got the simulations and tools to build those lineups, no problem. Use the stack tool on both sides to really give yourself the optimal leverage. You smash the like while you're here, okay? And then also, you play in the DraftKings Listeners League. That's down in the description right now. We need to get it filled, or else they're going to make it smaller. And why would you want to make it smaller when it's rake-free money? DraftKings is not taking a cut. It all remains in the players' pool, so it is the best tournament on DraftKings. Sub to the channel while you're here. Rate and review the audio podcast as well, because that always really helps. Thank you all for watching. I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!